Hello, investors. It is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Monday, August 12th, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we still have the red correction under there. And if we look at the trend gauge, market leaders still red arrow / neutral. Short term, this is our 21 EMA. We have the red arrow as well. Medium term, 50 simple moving average, red arrow. And then long term, this is our 200-day moving average. The green arrow is there. So what happened today? Well, about a 1% intraday range, but the S&P closed the day flat. So very quiet day, and we saw a lot of strength in oil and gold stocks today. And maybe that's foreshadowing something, as we've seen a lot of strength in military stocks as well that we've been mentioning on the videos. So here are the final numbers. 21 over 21 list up 0.13%, 8 green, 7 neutral, 6 red. Big 8 up 0.29, RG8 down 0.59%, S&P 500 flat on the day, RSP down 0.46%, QQQ up 0.24%, equal weight down 0.29, Dow Jones Industrial Average down 0.52%, mid caps down 0.75%, Russell 2000 down 0.93%, 60/40 down 0.1%, and then in-house GROTECTION pretty much flat, up 0.04% on the day. So let's dive into the charts, the inter-asset correlation. As always, starting off with the S&P 500 and, closing the day flat, but there is some concerns here. This is around, day 5 off the lows, and it is forming a pretty clear bear flag. And this is just a pretty classic wedge pattern. The volume's declining on the way up as price is moving up. We did close above the 8 EMA, but we have the 21-day here and the 50-day, and the 21 is below the 50-day. So it's a jam-packed week with economic news, but from purely technical perspective, this is a pretty classic wedge up. So we'll see. We also have this bear gap here, which coincides with the 21-day. So those are areas to watch out. And if I pull up a 5-minute, you can just see, just chop all day. Flushed off the open, rallied hard into 53.71, dropped super aggressive mid-morning, and then just spent the day moving sideways, closing the day flat. But we are seeing some more intraday volatility despite the flat close. And if you look at the 60-minute here, this is kind of just a pretty clear rising wedge into some unfilled bear gap. So that's just something to be aware of. But like I said, with a lot of economic data later this week, so a lot of stuff can happen. Sometimes what happens there is more important than what the technical picture is showing. QQQ, similar story, 5th day up off the lows, wedging up into this bear gap, 450 level on declining volume. So, we really want to see a follow through day at this point, as the risk to reward to the long side isn't as good as it was, off the 200-day, because now it's day 5 going into day 6 tomorrow. So we'll have to see how the market acts. Dow Jones forming a bear flag here off the 50-day. Mid caps, again, just can't get back above this 50-day. And after a period of outperformance, it is now underperforming the other broad indexes. Russell 2000, again, it's a very similar look to the other indexes, just kind of wedging, forming a bear flag off the 50-day. But looking at both sides, right? If we break down below, that's confirming. But if it thrusts through this 50-day along these highs here, that would invalidate the setup. Then it could just, from fouled moves come fast moves. So a failure lower out of this bear flag, with some volume through that pivot could be nice for the bulls. VIX up 0.98% on the day and holding this 20 level. It did put a pretty strong candle today. I know a lot of people say, you don't do technical analysis on the VIX, but we're just going to look at it objectively. and it is putting a hammer here off the 20. So if this starts to shoot back up, heightened volatility, that won't be great for the markets. The dollar. So title of the video was, gold and oil strong. This looks like it wants to break lower out of a bear flag. And that would likely bring some more fire to gold, oil, silver, commodities in that area of the market. GLD finally starting to come back up, broke above this 225 pivot. All these moving averages are stacked, seeing the relative strength line start to outperform here. And this trended pretty nicely all day. A little volatility off the open, but was strong close. So looked like some consistent buying throughout the day. Gold stocks, strong as well, reclaiming all the moving averages. Silver, gold looks a lot better here, but overall, this held this 25 level, reclaimed it, and now it's starting to curl back up. This is RS line has a super clear downtrend line. So maybe if it gets back above there, that could bring some fire to silver stocks. Bitcoin, had super strong move off the lows, and some contraction here would be good. Some tight inside days to set up, and create a little mini base off that move off the lows. BNB looks great, forming a continuation pattern. TLT, similar. Undercut and reclaim this 94.84 level, and now it's popping back up. 30-year with bonds looking good. These are obviously going to look bad. Just looks like it's moving lower out of a bear flag. 10-year, same thing, moving lower out of a bear flag. So that's everything for the inter-asset correlation. And if we pull up the tape here, let's go over a couple key things. So news, there a lot of heightened things going on with the Middle East, a lot of news floating around, and at any moment a bombshell could drop about the Middle East wars. So that's something we're cognizant about. We have PPI tomorrow morning, CPI Wednesday as well, and then also jobless claims on Thursday. And levels wise, we're still watching the S&P versus these key moving averages along with the QQQ. We're moving the day count to consolidation 1, but we did close back above 2 days above the 8 EMA, but 8 days below the 21. I mentioned the action on that in the inter-asset correlation. Sectors wise, it was all commodities and whatnot. So oil, silver, gold, energy, and then weakness. Bitcoin was pretty weak today. Airlines were down, obviously, with crude oil up. And I put this in bold because up 3.63% for crude oil. That's quite a big move. So we're seeing a lot of these different asset classes might be, are they saying something's going to happen? Oil sometimes can tend to perform well when war breaks out. Transports were weak. ARC, real estate, and the dollar, which I mentioned. No trades today. The indexes are wedging here a little bit, and a lot of the leaders that we highlighted last week, it's just not the greatest low risk entries today. So obviously we have a great list of stocks that we're watching, so we'll continue to monitor that. But let's get into some charts again and cover some of the events from today. So I mentioned gold, and if you look at some of the gold stocks, you have AEM. This one's coming out of a really nice flat base, looking to break out into 52-week highs. You have Newmont, NEM, another one kind of starting to emerge out of this mini flat base right under 52-week highs. You have EGO as well. This is another one. So we have talked about this before, and it's stacking the evidence for something to work. And when you see 3, 4, 5 different gold mining stocks starting to break out, that can kind of tell you that, hey, this group move might be real, and you're seeing broad participation versus, in a weak group, finding one stock that looks good, your hit rate isn't going to be as high. So definitely notable theme with these gold stocks from today. And I'll pull up USO. This is oil. Huge candle today, on volume, up 3.16%. You can see this had a pretty clear downtrend line, breaking it. Confirmation from the RS line back above the 21-day, and back above all the moving averages. So this is definitely another spot in the market that we're watching. Oil stocks aren't looking as good, but you can always play the ETF as well. And then this ties into the other things. So we have gold moving higher, we have oil moving higher, and then another thing is the military stocks. Lockheed Martin, this is in a high type flag. This has just been one of the strongest names in the market. You have RTX, another one right at highs, and then NOC, another one breaking out of this mini flag. So the group move is active there. And ITA actually closed the day flat today, but this has Boeing in it, which just the stock can't get out of its way. So that weighs that down. And DFEN is an ETF you can play, but it does have Boeing in that. So it could weigh the ETF down. And so some relative strength names that we've been tracking, some we own, Lilly, which we own, pretty much down 0.82% on the day. And after a strong 3-day push off the lows, it's acting fine. Some consolidation here, a little tightness could set it up for the next leg higher. Palantir, yes, this was a 50% move last week. So some consolidation and some digestion makes sense. And the weekly is just breaking out of a pretty big base, but it paused at that 30 level, which has been a key resistance for a while now. Kava, tight inside day, just really light volume across the board on individual stocks as well. So, not a lot of thrust, and that makes sense. Kava's up 8-9% on Friday. So a tight day in the upper range of Friday's candles, constructive. TMDX, this is another one that's just hanging out right around highs, looks good. Meta, this has been the strongest big tech name for since last week, and this looks good. It's holding above that 500 level. All the moving averages are starting to hook back up, and overall looks good. This would probably be the name we'd go with if we were putting big tech exposure on. Monday, this was an earnings gapper today, gapping out of a pretty big base here. It closed the day up 14% on, let's see, on 400% above average volume. You can see 129% EPS increase, margins 89%, and sales came in at 34%. And something we've talked about is finding the leader in an industry group that is making its way. So you look at this computer software enterprise industry group, it's ranked 152 out of 197. And you may look at that as being bad, but it's not always the case. This stock's breaking out into 52-week highs in a weak group. So you can think, if the other stocks in the group start to turn around, this is a beach ball underwater. It's been held down from the market and other stocks in the group. And the sweet spot is to catch the industry group that makes their way up into the, top 10, top 20, because once an industry group gets there, it can be signs that the move is exhausted a bit and it could start to pull back after, getting that. And then NVIDIA, this was really strong today. This is just a stock to key in on every day. If we just look back, undercut and reclaimed 100, got back above the 8 EMA, but it rejected the 21 here today. So maybe this needs some more time, some volatility contraction, maybe get back above the 50-day and let it curl back up. And one thing to note is, again, this one is moving up on below average volume. So that's something to know. ServiceNow, this is another one. This continues to look better and better by the day. Closed above that 800 level and just really looks like it's ready to come out of this base. It failed on earnings with a weak market backdrop, but coming back up, and this one definitely is on the front of our screens for a potential buy if we can see some volume through that 815 level. And yeah, I mentioned a lot of economic news later this week. And as we know that the market's been volatile lately and moving quite a bit on the economic report. So we're well aware of those and monitoring that. So those are some stocks. And just to conclude, it's kind of the same message we've been giving you guys the last couple of days. We're monitoring relative strengths, any signs of sector rotation. I mentioned silver, gold, oil, getting money flow today. looking at the economic news later this week, the geopolitical escalations, sentiment wise as well, and all of those things factor into our analysis. And then, of course, identifying the leaders. We have a good list of, 20, 30 stocks. So now just looking for low risk entries and good spots. So just taking this market day by day, and we'll see what happens later this week. So that is going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. My email is Connor@Revere Asset, and you can reach out to Dan or Don at revereasset.com. Phone is 855 Real Wealth. That is 855-732-5932. And our flagship portfolio is called GROTECTION. It serves as a dual mandate to grow your assets in uptrends and to protect them when the market is in a downtrend. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, please reach out to myself, Dan, or Don. And with that, I'll wrap it for Monday, August 12th. This is Connor Bates with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening and have a good rest of your trading week.